My name is Joanne Halpern. I am 31 years old. 4 weeks ago, my parents stood up at the end of their 35th wedding anniversary dinner, tapped a fork against a champagne glass, and announced to 36 guests that the entire family, the whole family, my mother said, holding her hands wide for emphasis, would be flying to Napa Valley the following Friday for a long weekend of wineries and spa treatments to extend the celebration. Everyone applauded. My sister-in-law cooed about the timing. My nephew clapped his small hands because he saw the adults clapping. I smiled because I had spent 31 years smiling at my parents' announcements. And then I made the simple, fatal mistake of asking my father a question. I asked him what airline we were on. My father set down his champagne flute. My mother's smile did a small, deliberate thing at the corners, and in front of 36 guests in their formal dining room in Brookline, Massachusetts, my father said, very calmly, the way a man delivers a piece of business news to a junior employee, "Joanne, you don't need to know the airline. You're not coming with us. We need someone reliable to stay with the dogs and Aunt Helena, and you don't have any commitments to work around." 36 pairs of eyes turned briefly to look at me, and then turned just as quickly away. Not one of them said a word. My mother smiled into the silence, the way she had smiled in that house at countless silences over 31 years, and the dinner continued. What my parents did not know, because I had been very careful never to tell them, was that for the previous 2.5 years, I had been quietly building a life behind their backs. A life with my name on it. A life they had no way of seeing, because they had never thought to look. And at exactly that moment, standing in the doorway of my parents' formal dining room in the dress my mother had described on the way in as a little plain, I decided that the life I had been hiding was about to step into a room they could not follow me into. Before I tell you what I did next, take a moment, if you are still with me, and tap that like button. Subscribe if this is the kind of story that lands for you. And tell me in the comments below where you are listening from tonight and what time it is where you are, because it grounds me to know where this story is reaching. Now let me take you back. Back to a 4-bedroom colonial on Beacon Hill Road in Brookline, with a brass knocker on the front door and a Volvo in the driveway that nobody under 60 actually wanted to drive. Back to the family I'd spent 31 years being almost completely invisible inside. The Halpern family of Brookline, Massachusetts presented itself to the world as a 4-person unit: a father, a mother, a son, and a daughter. The truth, the way I came to understand it by the time I was 26, was that the family was really 3 people and a placeholder. My father, Bernard Halpern, retired 6 years ago from a 38-year career as a senior actuary at a major life insurance company in Boston. He is a precise, slow, certain man who has lived his entire life believing that if you do the math correctly, the outcomes will be fair, and who has built an entire personality around not noticing the many cases in his own family in which this has not, in fact, been true. My mother, Eleanor Halpern, has never held a paid job, but she will tell you, and has told me on many occasions, that running the Halpern household has been a more demanding career than any of her friends' actual careers. She chairs the donor committee for the Brookline Symphony Orchestra. She is the secretary of the Synagogue Sisterhood. She organizes a charity bridge tournament every spring that raises about $40,000 for a small private hospital where her own mother once volunteered. She is, in the precise sense of the term, a fundraiser of moderate local fame. Then there is my older brother, Daniel, 2 years older than me, and his wife, Vivian. Daniel is the cardiologist at one of the major Boston teaching hospitals. He went to Harvard for college, Harvard for medical school, and finished his fellowship at the Brigham. By any objective metric, he is the most successful person ever produced by either side of our family. And my mother makes sure, in every conversation with every acquaintance, that this is established within the first 90 seconds. Vivian is an attorney at a firm whose name I am not going to say in this video, but it is one of the firms whose name you would recognize. They have a 4-year-old son named Asher and a 2-year-old daughter named Margot, both of whom are beautiful and curious and, like all 4-year-olds and 2-year-olds, exhausting. They live in a brownstone in the South End. They drive a Range Rover. They take a family photograph every December in matching cream-colored sweaters that my mother frames and displays in a row on the credenza in the hallway. My photograph is not on the credenza. My most recent professional headshot, which I sent home 2 Christmases ago, lives in a manila envelope in the bottom drawer of my mother's desk. I found it there once when I was looking for a stapler, and I closed the drawer without comment. And then there is me. I work as a freelance medical coder for a network of small specialty practices around Greater Boston. I work from home, mostly. I make my own hours. I do not earn what my brother earns, or what Vivian earns, but I support myself, and I have not asked my parents for $1 since I was 23 years old. My work, in my mother's framing of our family, is flexible. That is the only word she has ever used to describe it. It is a word that, in her voice, does a particular kind of work. It means not real. It means available. It means of less consequence than whatever a real person with a real career would be doing instead. I want to give you a picture of what flexible has meant in practice. I will not bury you in the long list. I will give you 3 small scenes, and you can extrapolate. Scene 1. Daniel and Vivian's first son, Asher, is born. The day after Vivian comes home from the hospital, my mother calls me at 8 in the morning. She tells me that I will be moving into Daniel's guest room for 2 weeks to help with the baby. Not asking, telling. I have a deadline on a coding project for a small dermatology group in Cambridge. I tell my mother. She tells me to email the dermatologist and explain that there is a family emergency. I email the dermatologist. I move into Daniel's guest room. I'm there for 2 weeks. I get up with the baby at 3 in the morning so Vivian can sleep. I make breakfast. I do laundry. At the end of the 2 weeks, Vivian gives me a candle from a boutique on Newbury Street as a thank you. The candle smells like fig. Daniel says nothing. Scene 2. My father is hospitalized, briefly, for what turns out to be a manageable cardiac arrhythmia 3 years ago. I drive to Brookline at 1 in the morning when the call comes. I stay at the hospital for the full 48 hours of his admission. My brother, the cardiologist, comes for a 40-minute consultation, talks with my father's attending, kisses my father on the forehead, and goes back to work because, as my mother explains to me afterward, Daniel cannot just drop his patients, Joanne. You know that. I do know that. I have always known that. What I am still trying to learn is why this same logic has never, in 31 years, applied to me. Scene 3. Last Thanksgiving. I arrive at 5:30 in the morning to start the turkey. My mother is still in her dressing gown. The cleaning service has been there the day before, but my mother believes that a cleaning service is only the foundation for a real cleaning, which must be done by family. I vacuum. I polish the silver. I iron the cloth napkins. At 3 in the afternoon, when Daniel and Vivian and the children arrive in their cream sweaters, my mother announces, to the assembled guests in the front hall, "Daniel, you look exhausted. Vivian, sit down. You look exhausted. Joanne, can you go check on the pies?" I check on the pies. The pies are fine. The pies have always been fine. The pies are not the point. The point is that I am the one who is told to leave the room where the family is being assembled. I want to be honest with you about something, because I think it is the most important thing I have to say about this kind of family. For a very long time, I did not understand that what was happening was happening. I did not, at 20 or 24 or even at 28, sit in my apartment in the evening and think to myself, my family treats me as labor, not as a person. I did not have those words. What I had was a low background hum of tiredness, a sense that I was always behind on my own life. A vague feeling, every time I left my parents' house after a holiday, that I had failed to be present at my own family's events, even though I had been physically there the entire time. This is the trick of being the invisible one. You do not see the cage from the inside. You only see, faintly, that you cannot quite stand up. Now I want to tell you about the thing I had been doing in the dark. 2.5 years ago, on a Tuesday evening in February, I was sitting in my apartment in Brighton, alone, eating soup out of the pot because I had not had the energy to put it in a bowl. I had just gotten off the phone with my mother. The call had been about the seating chart for my cousin Lila's wedding, which was 3 months away, and at which I had been assigned to a table called the children's table, even though I was, at that point, 29 years old. The children's table was for Asher, who was just barely 2, and for 2 other small cousins, and for the wife of one of my mother's distant relatives who had been recently widowed and was, in my mother's view, too sensitive to sit with the rest of the family. I was to sit there, my mother had said, because you're so good with children, Joanne, and Hannah will need someone. I sat in my kitchen with a pot of soup, and I had what I have come to think of as the only completely honest moment of my entire 20s. I thought, they are never going to see me. I can spend the next 40 years working to be seen by these people, and they are not going to see me. The math on the people who are in front of me does not come out. I do not know why what I did next was what I did next. I had owned for several years a film camera that I had bought at a garage sale in college for $15 and had used maybe 4 times. The camera had been sitting in a shoebox in my bedroom closet for at least 3 years. That night, after the soup, I got up, opened the closet, and took the camera out of the box. I cleaned it. I went online and ordered a roll of film. I do not know, even now, why I went to the camera. I think I needed to do something with my hands that nobody in Brookline had assigned me. I think I needed to put my eye against a thing that did not, when I looked through it, ask me to fetch its dry cleaning. I started photographing strangers. I want to be very clear about what I mean. I was not photographing famous people. I was not photographing scenes anyone would have considered beautiful. I was photographing what I started thinking of as the unseen part of the visible day. I photographed the man who sold roasted nuts from a cart on Boylston Street on a Wednesday at 3 p.m, when no tourist had bought anything from him in over an hour, and his face had settled into the patient blankness of a man counting down the minutes until 5. I photographed a woman in a hospital cafeteria in Cambridge, eating a packaged tuna sandwich alone at a small round table by a window, while 3 coworkers laughed at a different table 6 feet away. I photographed an older gentleman on the Orange Line at midnight, asleep with his hands folded over a paperback copy of a book by John le Carré, his glasses crooked. I photographed the cleaning crews at the office building across the street from my dentist, who arrived at 5:15 in the afternoon and were never, in the entire time I watched them, acknowledged by any of the office workers who streamed past them on the way out for the evening. I called the series, in my own head, people who are almost there. I did not show the photographs to anyone. I did not, at first, even develop them. I bought a small home developing kit. I started processing the film in my apartment bathroom. The first 3 rolls were unusable. The 4th was not bad. By the 6th, I had a workable system. I had begun, without telling a single person in my life, to be very serious about something. About a year in, on the advice of a podcast I had been listening to, I created an anonymous Instagram account. I did not use my name. I did not use my face. I posted 1 photograph a week, every Sunday, with a caption that was almost always just a place and a time. Boylston Street, 3:14 p.m., Tuesday. Orange Line, southbound, 11:47 p.m. That was it. No commentary, no personal information. After 8 months, the account had a little over 3,000 followers. After 18 months, it had 11,000. The followers were mostly other photographers and a slow trickle of journalists and curators who had stumbled across the account through reposts. I read every comment. I did not reply to any of them. I was, as far as anyone on the internet could tell, an anonymous person with a film camera in Boston. Nobody at any Thanksgiving I had ever attended had any idea that this account existed. There was, however, one person in my life who knew, and I will tell you about her now. My mother's older sister is named Helena. She is 67 years old. She lives, alone, in a small 2-bedroom house in Provincetown on the very far tip of Cape Cod, in a community of artists and writers and retirees, and a small number of people who, like my Aunt Helena, are some combination of all 3. Helena had a brief and complicated career in publishing in New York in the 1980s, before leaving the industry under circumstances that my mother has never explained to me and that I have, very deliberately, never asked Helena to explain to me either. Helena and my mother do not speak often. They are civil at holidays. They have not, I do not believe, had a real, undefended conversation since their mother died in 2003. My mother considers Helena's life to be a tragedy. Helena considers my mother's life to be a tragedy. Both of them have, in their own ways, gone to remarkable lengths to make sure they never have to discuss this with each other. I have, for 9 years, driven down to see Helena in Provincetown once every 2 months, on a Saturday, for the day. I have never told my mother that I do this. Helena has never told my mother either. When I started photographing strangers 2.5 years ago, the second person I told about the project, after myself, was Helena. The first thing she said when I sent her my first 3 photographs by text was, "Joanne, do not show these to your mother." I had not been planning to, but the way Helena said it on the phone that evening, the calm authority of a woman who had been a junior editor at a major publishing house at 26, made me understand, for the first time, that the secrecy was not paranoia. The secrecy was strategy. Helena said, "Whatever this is, it is yours. Your mother has, in her entire life, never seen anything that is yours, and not, the same afternoon, started to figure out how to use it. Keep this from her. Keep this from your brother. Keep this from Vivian. Keep this from anyone who has ever been to your parents' house for Passover. Do you understand me?" I said I did. 5 weeks before the anniversary dinner, Helena called me on a Sunday afternoon. She said, "Joanne, I have to tell you something, and I want you to sit down before I do." She had, she said, a friend in Provincetown named Aldous Marsh, who was, by her description, a retired curator who had spent 23 years working with photography exhibitions at a regional museum in Worcester. Aldous had, 2 weeks earlier, come over for tea and had asked Helena what she had been reading, and Helena, on impulse, had shown him my Instagram account on her phone. She had not told him whose account it was. She had just shown him the pictures. Aldous, she said, had sat on her couch with her phone for over an hour, slowly scrolling. He had not said anything at first. Then he had said, "Helena, who is this person?" Helena had not answered right away. She had said only, "A young photographer in Boston. Why?" Aldous had said, "This person should be having a solo show. Not in 5 years, now. There is a small gallery in Provincetown that opens in late September. Their booked show fell through. The owner is a friend of mine. If this person wants the slot, they have it. Tell them to call me." Helena said on the phone to me, "Joanne, I have not told him your name yet. I have not told him you are my niece. I have not told him anything. He thinks I know an anonymous photographer in Boston. The decision about whether to take this is entirely yours. The slot is yours if you want it, but you need to decide in the next 2 weeks because they have to start printing and framing by mid-August if it is going to be ready by late September." I sat on the edge of my bed in my apartment in Brighton. I was holding the phone with both hands. I did not say anything for almost 30 seconds. Helena said, very quietly, "Joanne, this is the kind of door that opens once. I am not telling you what to do. I am telling you that the door is open. It is going to close, with you or without you, in 2 weeks." I said, "Helena, I am terrified." She said, "Good. That means it matters." I told her I needed a few days to think. She told me to take as many days as I needed. I hung up. I went into the kitchen of my one-bedroom apartment. I made tea. I sat at my small kitchen table for a long time. I did not, in any of that, make a decision. The decision was made for me, 3 days later, in my parents' dining room, by my father's hand on a champagne flute. The anniversary dinner had been planned for over 6 months. My mother had hired a caterer, a small firm out of Newton that she had used for 20 years, and had asked me, 8 weeks before the dinner, whether I would be willing to come over the day of and help organize. I had said yes. Of course I had said yes. By that point, I had said yes to 10,000 things. I did not yet know, on the afternoon I agreed, that Helena was about to call me with Aldous Marsh's offer. I arrived at my parents' house at 8 in the morning on the day of the dinner. I helped polish the silverware. I helped iron the linen napkins my mother had inherited from her grandmother. I helped arrange 36 place settings on the long mahogany table in the formal dining room and the smaller cherrywood table they had set up in the parlor for the overflow. I made 2 trips to the florist on Harvard Street. I picked up the cake from the bakery in Coolidge Corner. I changed into my dress, the one my mother had glanced at on the way in and called a little plain, at 5 o'clock. By 6:30, the first guests had begun arriving. The dinner itself was lovely. I will say that. My mother knows how to host a dinner. The candles were lit. The string trio she had hired for the cocktail hour played quietly in the front parlor. Daniel and Vivian arrived at 6:40, looking, as always, like they had been photographed for a magazine on the way over. Vivian wore a deep emerald dress and small diamond earrings that I had not seen before. My mother kissed Vivian on both cheeks and said, in a voice the cocktail hour guests were meant to hear, "Vivian, darling, you look radiant. How do you do it after a week in court?" I served. I want to be clear that this was not announced as my role. It was simply the role I filled because nobody else was going to. I carried the tray of canapés through the cocktail hour. I refilled wine glasses. I made sure the older guests had a place to sit. At one point, my father's law partner from his synagogue, An elderly man named Mr. Saperstein, who has known me since I was 3, asked me what I had been up to lately. And I said only, "Just work, Mr. Saperstein," because I had been trained by every adult in that room to give that exact answer. Dinner began at 7:30. I sat in my usual seat at the end of the smaller cherry wood table, next to 2 of Vivian's cousins, whose names I never quite remembered, and across from my father's brother, my Uncle Lawrence, who spent the entirety of the first course explaining to me a piece of personal financial advice I had not asked for and could not, on my income, have used if I had wanted to. I ate, I smiled. I refilled glasses for the people around me when the server did not come quickly enough. The toasts began at 9. My father stood. He tapped the champagne flute. The room went quiet in that lovely, slightly tipsy, well-fed way a room goes quiet at the end of a long, expensive dinner. My father gave the speech he had clearly been preparing for weeks. He talked about meeting my mother in graduate school at Boston University in 1989. He talked about the apartment they had lived in for the first 8 years of their marriage, on the 3rd floor of a triple-decker in Allston. He talked about the slow and patient building of a family, of a career, of a life. He talked about Daniel. He talked about Vivian. He talked about Asher and Margot, who had been sent home with the babysitter at 8. He thanked his colleagues from the insurance company. He thanked Mr. Saperstein. He thanked the cantor from the synagogue. He thanked my mother's bridge group by name. The toast was 11 minutes long. I timed it, although I did not realize until afterwards that I had been timing it because I had been waiting for him to mention me. He did not. I do not believe it was deliberate. I believe, in his careful actuarial mind, that he simply did not think of it. And then he said, "And as a small surprise, although I think your mother has been hinting at it all week, so it may not be much of a surprise anymore. Eleanor and I want all of you to know that next Friday, we are taking the family to Napa Valley. 4 nights, 5 days. 3 rooms at a small inn in Yountville, wineries, a spa day for the ladies, a round of golf for any of the gentlemen who want to come. We want to extend the celebration a little. We thought it was time." Applause. Genuine, warm applause. My mother, beside him, beamed. Vivian put her hand over her heart and made a small noise of delight. Daniel raised his glass. I, like an idiot, smiled too, because for a brief, shining second, I thought family meant me. I thought Eleanor and I are taking the family included the daughter standing at the back of the room with a tray. I thought, briefly, and I am still slightly embarrassed to admit this to you, that my parents had, perhaps in some quiet conversation I had not been party to, finally come around to the idea that I belonged with them on a trip somewhere. I said, into the small pocket of conversation that followed the applause, in a voice that was not particularly loud, "What airline are we on, Dad?" My father set down his champagne flute. He looked at my mother. They had a small private moment with their eyes that I had seen many, many times in my life, and had, until that exact second, never fully been able to decode. He said, "Joanne, you don't need to know the airline. You're not coming. We need someone reliable to watch the dogs and Aunt Helena, and you don't have any commitments to work around." Aunt Helena? He had said Aunt Helena. Helena was not even at the dinner. Helena lived in Provincetown. Helena had not been invited to the dinner because, as my mother had explained 2 weeks earlier, your aunt is not really up to long evenings anymore. Which was a thing that was not true, and that Helena and I had been silently aware of for years. He was citing the care of an aunt who did not need to be cared for, in a town 3 hours from Brookline, as my reason for not being on the trip. He had not even bothered to fact-check his own excuse. The room held a small, polite breath. I saw it happen. I saw, very clearly, 3 of my mother's bridge friends find a sudden interest in their dessert plates. I saw Mr. Saperstein look up from his coffee, briefly, with an expression I will not forget, and then look back down. I saw Vivian's eyes flicker, just once, toward Daniel, who did not return the look. I said, "Of course, Dad. Someone has to." I smiled. 31 years of training does not unwind in an instant. I smiled exactly the way I had been smiling at this table since I was 9 years old. I excused myself. I went into the kitchen. I leaned against the kitchen island for what was probably 45 seconds. I did not cry. I am very proud of that. I poured a glass of water. I drank it. I went back into the dining room. I helped clear the dessert plates. I helped the caterer pack up. I said goodbye to 36 guests at the front door of my parents' house and accepted 12 separate compliments on the evening, as if I had hosted it. I drove home to Brighton at 11:40 p.m. on a Saturday. I parked in my building's small back lot. I sat in my car in the dark for several minutes. Then I went upstairs. I unlocked my apartment door. I sat on the edge of my bed in the dress my mother had called plain. I took my phone out of my purse. I opened my recent calls. I called Aunt Helena. She picked up on the second ring, even though it was almost midnight. I said, "Helena, I want the show." She said, "Joanne, oh sweetheart, are you all right?" I said, "I am going to be." She said, "Tell Aldous yes tomorrow morning. I am going to drive up to Boston in 3 days. You and I are going to have lunch, and we are going to make a list of what you need. I am also going to ask you a question, and I want you to think about your answer before you give it to me." I said, "What is the question?" She said, "Whether you want to keep living in Boston after this show, or whether you want to come stay with me in Provincetown while you figure out what your life looks like now. The cottage next door to mine has been empty since November. The landlord is a friend of mine. The rent by Boston standards is a joke. You do not have to decide tonight. I just want you to think about it." I did not say anything for a moment. Then I said, "Helena, I think I already know." She said, "Good. Get some sleep. Call Aldous in the morning." I hung up. I sat on the edge of my bed in the dress for a long time. I did not exactly feel happy. I did not exactly feel anything I had a word for. What I felt was that, somewhere in my chest, a very large door I had not known existed had opened slightly, and a small, cool draft of air had come through it from a country I had not yet visited. I called Aldous Marsh at 9:15 the next morning. He said he was delighted. He asked me to send him the full set of files I wanted to print. He told me his contact at the gallery in Provincetown, a woman named Bess Coltrane, would call me by the end of the week. He told me, before we hung up, "Joanne, Helena did not tell me you were her niece. She told me half an hour ago when she called to say you had accepted. I want you to know that I would have offered you the slot either way, and that I do not want either of us to ever have to wonder about that. Your photographs got the slot. Helena's niece would have gotten lunch." Then I sent an email to the dermatology group and the 2 other practices I worked with as a coder. I told them I was taking a leave of absence, for personal reasons, of indefinite length, beginning in 3 weeks. I said I would help them find a temporary replacement. All 3 of them wrote back the same day. All 3 of them said they would keep my contract open and that they hoped I was all right. Then I emailed my landlord and gave him 60 days' notice on my apartment. Then I called my mother. She answered on the 5th ring, sounding slightly out of breath, as if she had been doing the dishes. I said, "Mom, I am calling to let you know that I will not be at the house next weekend to handle the dogs. I am also calling to let you know that I am moving to Provincetown in 3 weeks, to be closer to Aunt Helena, who needs more help than the family has been acknowledging, and to pursue a project of my own. I will be available to talk by phone or email at any time. I will not be in Brookline for the foreseeable future." There was a silence on the other end. My mother said, "Joanne, what are you talking about? We have plans for the dogs. Daniel has just bought the airline tickets for Napa." I said, "Mom, the dogs can go to the boarding kennel on Beacon Street. I have written down the number for you. It is on a post-it on the refrigerator door in your kitchen. I put it there yesterday when I was packing up the caterer." She said, "Joanne, you cannot do this." I said, "Mom, I am doing it." She said, "You are being incredibly selfish. Your father will not stand for this." I said, "Mom, I love you. I will call you next week. I am going to hang up now." I hung up. My hands were trembling. I sat in my kitchen and watched the light on my refrigerator change from one shade of fluorescent to another for almost a full minute. Then I made another cup of tea. What followed over the next 10 days was the most determined campaign of pressure my mother had ever waged on me in my life. She called 14 times. She left voicemails of escalating dramatic register. She had Daniel call. Daniel, to his credit, kept the call brief and slightly embarrassed. He said only, "Joanne, Mom is upset. I think you should consider going to Napa. The trip is paid for. We will figure out something with the dogs." I said, "Daniel, the trip is not paid for me. The trip was never paid for me. Mom can figure out the dogs the same way she would have figured out the dogs if I had been hit by a bus this morning. I am going to Provincetown. I will see you at Margot's birthday party in November, if I am invited." He did not say anything for a moment. Then he said, "Joanne, I am sorry." He had never said those words to me before. I do not know whether he knew, in that moment, what he was apologizing for. I am not sure he did either. I said, "Thank you, Daniel." We hung up. Vivian called once. The call was brief. Vivian said, "Joanne, I want you to know that I have not always known how to be the right kind of sister-in-law to you. I think your mother is, in the words a court would use, out of order on this one. I am sorry. I am not going to try to talk you out of anything. If you ever need a quiet weekend at our place in the Berkshires, the door is open." I had not, in 7 years of being Vivian's sister-in-law, expected this. I said, "Thank you, Vivian. I will think about it." We have, in the 4 weeks since, exchanged 2 thoughtful emails. The Berkshires offer remains on the table. I have not, yet, taken her up on it. I may. I am open to the possibility, in a way I would not have been 6 months ago. My father did not call, not once. He sent one email, 3 days after my call with my mother, 3 sentences long. He wrote, "Joanne, I do not understand what is happening. I would like to talk when you are calmer. Your mother is very hurt." I did not reply. I have not yet replied. I am still deciding what, if anything, I want to say to him. He has, since that email, sent 2 more, each one slightly less defensive than the last. The most recent, which arrived 10 days ago, said only, "Joanne, I miss you." I do not know how to say what I want to say. I think I owe you a long apology, and I do not know where to start. I will wait until you are ready. I have not replied to that one either, but I keep it open in my email. I read it, sometimes, in the evening, when the light over the Cape Harbor is going from gold to violet. I moved to Provincetown 3 weeks after the anniversary dinner. I had given up my apartment in Brighton. I had put my furniture into a small storage unit in Quincy. I drove down on a Wednesday afternoon in late August with 2 suitcases and 3 boxes of camera equipment and the shoebox that had originally held the camera, which I had kept for sentimental reasons, in the back seat of my Subaru. The cottage Helena had told me about was a small 2-bedroom shingle style on a quiet side street, 6 blocks from her own house. The kitchen was tiny. The bedroom was tiny. The second bedroom, which I now use as my darkroom and editing space, was tiny. The whole house was tiny. It was, by Boston standards, almost laughably affordable. The first morning I woke up in it, I made coffee in my own French press, on my own counter, in my own kitchen, in my own town. And I sat at my small kitchen table by the window. The window looked out, between 2 cottages across the street, at a small wedge of the harbor. There was a fishing boat at anchor. The morning sky was the color of an oyster shell. I did not cry. I have not cried about any of this, actually, with the exception of one short evening in early September on Helena's back deck with a glass of wine, which I will not describe to you because it was for me and not for the comments section. But I have, since that morning at my own kitchen table, slept more deeply than I have slept since I was a child. The show opened on a Saturday in late September. Bess Coltrane, the gallery owner, had hung 32 of my photographs across the 2 main rooms of her gallery on Commercial Street. The opening reception had a turnout I had not been expecting. Provincetown is a small town, but it is a small town with an unusually dense population of people who care about photography. And word had traveled. Aldous Marsh had also, very quietly, called a journalist he knew at a regional arts publication, who had agreed to come to the opening on the condition that nobody mentioned she was coming. She was there. I did not know which one she was until afterward. She wrote, 3 weeks later, a 3,800-word feature on the show. The feature was the most generous piece of writing about my work that had ever appeared anywhere, including in my own head. The show sold 17 pieces over its 6-week run, at prices ranging from $400 to $2,800. After the gallery's commission, I cleared a little over $11,000. It is not a lot of money by Halpern family standards. By my standards, sitting in the cottage in Provincetown, having made that money entirely from my own photographs, with my own name on the wall label, in a town where nobody has ever asked me to refill their wine glass, it is the most significant $11,000 I have ever held in my life. I have not spent it. I am keeping it in the separate savings account I opened the week the show closed. I think of it, although this may sound corny, as my seed fund. I will know, when I need it, what to spend it on. Aldous and Bess have, between them, already begun discussions about a second show, in the spring, at a slightly larger gallery in Wellfleet that Bess has a relationship with. I have, between coding hours and darkroom hours, started a new series. The new series is tentatively called Rooms I Was Not Invited Into. It is, in part, the literal subject, empty rooms in other people's houses, photographed from the doorway. And, in part, the figurative one. Aldous is very excited about it. I am too. I am taking it slowly. Aunt Helena makes me dinner once a week. We do not talk about my mother very often. We do not need to. We are both, in our own ways, daughters of the same woman who raised my mother. We understand each other in a way I do not believe I have ever understood another human being. She showed me, last month, in a small wooden box on the top shelf of her bedroom closet, the rejection letter she had received in 1986 from a publishing house she had hoped to move to from the one she had left. She had kept the letter for 39 years. She said, "Joanne, I kept this for a long time as a thing to be hurt about. I want you to know that I do not feel that way about it anymore. I keep it now because it reminds me of who I was before the rest of my life began. You are about to have a thing like this. Mine was a piece of paper. Yours may be a dinner in Brookline. Keep it, but keep it kindly. The point is not the wound. The point is the date stamp." I think about that sentence a lot. It is November now. The tourist season has ended. Provincetown has reverted, the way it does every year, to the smaller, quieter version of itself that the year-round residents prefer. I work in the mornings, coding, for the same 3 practices in Boston that I have been coding for since I was 25. They have been kind and flexible, and they pay on time. In the afternoons, I photograph. I have begun to make friends among the year-rounders. Bess has invited me, twice, for Sunday dinner. Aldous and his husband, Carlton, have invited me to their Thanksgiving table, which is, this year, on a Friday because Carlton's mother in Vermont needs him on Thursday. I will be there. Helena will be there. There will, I imagine, be more people at that table I have only just met than have ever been at any Halpern Thanksgiving in my life. I am looking forward to it more than I have looked forward to any meal in my recent memory. I have been thinking, in the long, quiet afternoons in my dark room, about what I actually want to say to anyone listening to this video who is sitting somewhere familiar in their own version of my family. I want to tell you something specific. I want to tell you that the trap in a family like mine is not the obvious one. The obvious one is the bad father, the cruel mother, the explicit insult. Those are easy traps in the sense that you can see them. The harder trap, the one I lived in for 31 years, is the trap of being useful. It is the trap of being the one who is told, very gently, that the family needs you, and being trained very early to mistake needing you for seeing you. They are not the same. A family that needs you can, and does, also fail to see you. A family that needs you can, and does, schedule a trip to Napa Valley and write your name under the section labeled Dogs. If you are the daughter, or the son, or the sibling, or the cousin in your family who has spent your entire life as the reliable one, the available one, the one with the flexible schedule, the one who is always asked and who therefore is never noticed because they are always already saying yes, I want you to hear me. The yes is what made you invisible. The yes is not what they value. The yes is what they assume. They have built their lives around the assumption of your yes, and they will, when you finally stop saying it, behave as though you have done something to them. They will use the word selfish. They will use the word abandoned. They will use the word family. My mother used all 3 of these words with me in the first 10 days after the dinner. I want you to know that those words, in those mouths, are not arguments. They are tools. They are designed to do a specific job. The job is to get you back into the kitchen. You do not have to go back into the kitchen. You do not owe your family your invisibility in exchange for their love. The love that is conditional on your invisibility is not love. It is convenience dressed in love's clothing. You can tell the difference when you finally walk away. Because real love does not require you to disappear in order to be welcome. Real love makes room for you to take up space. My name is Joanne Halpern. I am 31 years old. I live in a small 2-bedroom cottage in Provincetown, Massachusetts, 6 blocks from my aunt. I am a working photographer, a working medical coder, and, as of last Sunday, the legally official renter of a darkroom space above a small framing shop on Commercial Street, where my second show will be printed in February. I am not famous. I am not wealthy. I am also not, anymore, the person whose name appears in someone else's email under the section labeled Dogs. That, more than the show, more than the $11,000 in the seed account, more than the magazine feature or the November dinner with people who actually want me at their table, is the inheritance I gave myself. The door in Brookline on Beacon Hill Road is not slammed shut. I want to be clear about that. I have not slammed it shut. I have, very deliberately, simply closed it. I will, perhaps, one day open it again, in some smaller version, on terms I am the one to set. I do not know yet. I have time to decide. I have, for the first time in my entire conscious life, time. Thank you for staying until the end. If this story landed for you, tap the like button. Subscribe if you have not. Tell me in the comments below what your version of the dining room in Brookline looks like. Tell me if you are still in it, or if you have, in your own way, made the drive down to your own version of Provincetown. I read every comment. I am right here. I will see you in the next one.